Okay, well, good morning, everyone. My name is Sarah Quinn. Pronouns are she, her, and I am the Membership and Outreach Manager at Bike Pittsburgh. Thank you for joining us on this lovely Saturday for our Women Non-Binary workshop. Today, we will be talking about riding in all seasons, and we have our lovely presenter here, Kat Greger. I hope I emotioned in the right way, but Kat Greger is here.
It looks right for me.
Before we get started, just a couple of housekeeping items. You can feel free to have your video on or off. I know it's a Saturday and we are thankful that you are here with us on your weekend. If you have any questions during the presentation, please feel free to chat them below or just hang on to them for the Q&A we'll have after Kat presents. But I think that's everything. Kat, we can get started.
I will be looking to the side, and that's just because I'm referencing what I need to talk about, but don't get confused by me. So hello, I'm Kat. My pronouns are she, her. I have been cycling in Pittsburgh since 2015. Really had to think about it there. I've been using my bicycle as my main mode of transportation since like spring of 2015. Basically because the buses were just awful. So I used to commute from Bloomfield to Chateau every day, across the river year round for 3 years. Now I live in Highland Park and my workplace is in Point Breeze, Larimer area. So my commute now is much easier. Although granted in the pandemic, I am working at home, which is beautiful background behind me. And I also just like want to preface all of this with everybody is different. What worked for me may not work for you. A lot of what like the knowledge that I have is either from, really it's from like either working, like hanging out with other cyclists and them talking about it, or it's just from trial and error. And I feel like every time the weather changes from like warm to cold or reverse, I typically have to remember how to dress for that weather again. I always forget what my weather is. So just anything that I'm saying, take it with a grain of salt. You know, listen to your body, know your body. That's really like the biggest thing that I can suggest with cycling in any weather. Listen to your body, know what it needs and what it can't do, and that's fine. One of the main things is drink water year round. Make sure you're hydrated. I know a lot of people are like underhydrated, especially in the winter when people aren't, you know, it's not hot out, so you're not as inclined to grab your water. Make sure that you're hydrating. It is extremely important to stay hydrated because we are so much water. Referencing my thing, make sure. Oh, I use insulated bottles during the hot to keep things cold and during the cold to keep things warm. Because if you use like plastic bottles or metal bottles in colder weather, that can freeze. And then in hot weather, it can get boiling, and that's just like, it sucks to drink that when you're really dehydrated on a ride. So I advise using insulated bottles just to kind of as a segue for that. I do tend to like talk very quickly. If I'm going too fast, please let me know. So I also use a feed bag. Like a lot of people use feed bags or cup holders on their handlebars. Let me see if I can get my bike closer. I actually have 2 on my bicycle, which you can see hanging off here. Right, I can move the camera, so. So these are my little cup holders. I actually, like, I'll put coffee or water in this one and just kind of roll with it. It does sometimes spill out. But this is a great resource to have water, some treats close at hand. Especially if you don't have place for a bottle cage on your bicycle. And if you get like bored with plain water, don't forget that you can flavor it or make it bubbly just to keep it interesting, because staying hydrated really is one of the key things you can do to help make riding more consistent and more comfortable for you. Oh, I apologize. I didn't go through what my category is that I'm talking about now. So this is more so like the clothing and body care. This is more body care that I'm going to start with, and then we'll kind of work outwards from yourself. So another main thing to do is to protect against the sun. In all weather, you should be wearing UVA, UVB blocking sunblock. It doesn't matter what your skin tone is, you can still get skin cancer. So, you know, sunblock, especially your face in the winter, don't forget that, even if only this much is showing. Make sure that you're still getting sunblock on there to protect your body. There are also clothing that has UV blocking weaves and treatments. So that's something that if you have an issue with actual lotions, like if you have a sensitivity or an allergy, that could be also an alternative to help prevent some of that sun use. I know a lot of places will do either just a sleeve or a full leg warmer. It can be in that UV blocking material. And then I also have helmets with, sorry, I don't know if you can hear me. Helmets with a brim. This helps keep just a little bit of the sun off of your face when you do actually cycle. When I first started riding, I actually just took the brim of an old hat and cut off the top and just stuck it in here, so it came out to here. So I had a lot of protection from the sun, and especially from snow. It kept a lot of the snow off of my face when I was commuting very far. I'm saying way too much. I apologize. And then I go do it again. Sorry, I'm just not used to doing the internet thing. So thank you for being here with me, my imperfect mess self. So make sure your skin is also moisturized year-round. I have a habit of doing it as soon as I'm done in the shower, because your skin is already moist, and then that helps lock in more of the actual lotion. So I currently smell like cocoa butter because I just smeared it everywhere after my shower today. It has helped prevent bad dry spots for me, especially in the winter. It helps with preventing the wind. Will really get you, but that's helped me keep the wind from really sinking into my skin. And then face lotion again, if it already has SPF in it, that'll actually be even better, because once again, protect your skin. I always have chapstick also that has SPF in it, because especially in the cooler months, lips will get dry. But even in the summer, I've had my lips get sunburnt just from not wearing anything. And so a quick swipe of that usually helps keep me from having my lips get sunburned as well. I think that's my main stuff about your actual physical body. But again, everybody is different. What works for me may not work for you. Just some reminders to help you take care of your self, because what you eat, what you drink, what you put in your body will help with your ride as well. How you take care of your body will help with the ride or hinder the ride. I'm not perfect. I've had those bad days too. So then I'm going to move on to clothing and layering. So there's quite a few different materials that you can choose that'll be either sweat wicking, and either protect from the sun or perhaps protect from the cold. I use a lot of merino wool. It's my favorite thing ever. I'm wearing merino wool socks and a tank top right now, actually. And one of my favorite things that I have is a merino wool long sleeve. This is just a simple sweater, but it's thin and light, and it pulls the moisture off my skin, and it doesn't sit cold like cotton does on you when it is cooler out. So this is pretty much my base layer all winter. I don't have to wash it every day, just kind of line dry it and let it air dry, and it doesn't really stink. I'll wash it every now and then, but I wear it multiple times before I actually do wash it. So that's one of my key ones. There's also other layers like silk. I have, these are silk, like thermal silk leggings. I wear these underneath my other leggings because they're kind of sheer. You can kind of see through it. So these are a good base layer for me. I know some people feel cold when they wear silk. Like it really does not help them. For me, it does help kind of give me a second layer of protection. It's pretty thin and pretty light, so I can easily layer it under jeans or my other pair of leggings, that sort of thing, just to give that added bonus of some warmth against my skin. Because the clothing against your skin is going to be kind of the most important, whether it's summer and it's 95 degrees or it's winter and it's 10 degrees. So it's kind of finding what works best for you. I wear merino wool like t-shirts, well, tank tops pretty much year round, regardless of what the weather is or what I'm doing, just because I am so comfortable in it. I know some people use bamboo, which is also vegan and eco-friendly. There are generic brands online you can find for cheap. REI has a lot of garage sales, so those are good. And definitely check the men's section because that pink tax is real. Often the men's section has more options than any women's section does. And most of the things really are unisex anyhow, because gender is a construct. So one thing in the summer, definitely, summer and winter, is just be cautious of cotton because that will sit against your skin. Especially in the summer, I've gotten soaked wearing a cotton t-shirt like in a thunderstorm, and then it had cooled, so then I was getting chills because I was just sitting in a wet t-shirt. Granted, there are other things you can do to avoid that, but those are just some kind of basic fabric type ideas, in addition to any of the like technical fabrics that a lot of people have. I have plenty of Under Armour leggings and t-shirts that I also layer with, but merino wool is really like my favorite because it doesn't feel like, it's not sporty, which is my aesthetic. I would rather be more more casual. I use my bicycle as transportation, so I'm more focused on function rather than fashion, and I usually have a more casual appearance, just to get some context for that. If you are just riding recreationally or you are doing a sport, you may have different needs. So that's something to also keep in mind, that depending on what you're doing, your clothing choices may change as well. And in the winter, it's really just kind of like adding layers because you're going to sweat, period. You just will sweat because you're generating heat in your body while you're out. I have, oh, of course I did not grab them. I have several pairs of knit leg warmers. So I'll put them on. One of my favorite pairs to wear goes from my calf, like up over my knee to my thigh. It's something, if you're handy enough, you can easily make it. You can easily find them on Etsy or any, if you know somebody that knits, they're a pretty easy thing to make. So they're also a very affordable way to kind of give yourself an ad hoc kind of protection or heat warmth. I will wear leggings with leg warmers most of the winter because I wear a lot of dresses. And that's like, I prefer leg warmers because then as I heat, I can kind of push it down, or I can even pull them off and uncomfortable. It's an easy thing to kind of translate given how my body heats or what I'm doing. So I usually have them in a bag with me, whether I'm wearing them or not. If it's like in the 50s or lower, I will usually have them with me just in case I get chilled. And then in the really cold weather, I do have a pair of fleece line tights. And then I've also worn athletic shorts underneath other leggings just to give my butt and upper thighs some warmth, because you don't realize how cold those get. I feel like those are the spots where after a cold ride, I get back and it's like bright pink and I didn't realize how cold that part of my body got. So adding layers where you can, but also keeping in mind where your body connects with the bike is also a crucial part of it, especially for your groin area where there may be a lot of chafing if you have too many layers on. So something to keep in mind as far as that goes as well. And again, everybody is different. A lot of my clothing selections are trial and error. Half the time I have to rip something off because I dressed too warm. If you leave the house and you're a little bit chilly, you'll probably be in good condition to go. I would say, yeah, I try and be like a little bit cold as I start my rides in the winter, just to make sure that when you do start generating heat, that's not going to be too much heat. I definitely overdress pretty often, have to pull off a layer. Am I speaking okay? Okay. I don't know if I'm babbling and speaking too fast. Continuing through some of this clothing and body care, some of the parts we might forget to take care of are our eyes. I always wear glasses, so this is kind of like a de facto protection for my eyeballs, which I appreciate. But also remember to wear sunglasses. Like, you do need to protect your eyes from the sun's harmful rays as well. For that reason, I recommend polarized lenses. I get my eyeglasses pretty cheap online and usually get a little lens cover so it like snaps on. I am that dork. But if you don't wear glasses, you can also get either clear bike lenses. There's a lot of different companies that are doing it. You can add, or you can get just like fake glasses just to have that layer of protection. I found it helpful in most weather. When it's raining, like when it's a mist, a fine mist, the glasses really don't help because it just gets stuck to it. So that is something to also keep in mind as far as eye protection, whether you wear contacts, glasses, or nothing at all. What the weather is doing is going to come at you and get your eyes, because that's really the main part of our bodies year round that's exposed to the elements. So it's one to really keep, forgive me, a close eye on, taking care of. But I had to, I'm sorry. So, and I'm sure if you wear glasses, you're also getting used to them fogging with masks. There's wipes you can get to like go over them to prevent the fog. Anti-fog products is what I have. There's some DIY methods with some soaps that you can put on it. I just kind of deal with it. If I have to, I'll pull them off real quick. Like if I really can't see, I just pull them off and hold them somewhere. I mean, if I need to, I can shove them in my seat bag. Whoa. Okay. My video went all off. And if you're wearing a face covering while also cycling, I usually wear like a buff over the winter. If you purse your lips like you're like almost a smooch face, if you purse your lips and just blow out, that will help get the air away from your glasses, so that will help keep them from fogging up as much. They may still fog, but that helps me quite a bit. I just try and get the air as far away from my face as possible, especially at like stoplights. That's usually when I get the most fogged. If you have an issue with nighttime lights, I do suggest trying out a yellow lens. I've been using one recently, and that's really been helping me because I get migraines sometimes where vehicle lights really bother me, and that's kind of helped. It does take some adjusting. Oh, hi, puppy. It does take some adjusting, but it has helped me kind of deal, like it's not as sharp of a light into my eyes, so I don't see it as hard. This was really cute, dog. So that's an option if you have nighttime driving issues or cycling issues. That may be something to look into. And then, so for the fuller neck, face, and head, wear a helmet. It's cool. Unfortunately, we live in a country where cyclists have to protect ourselves. It is not the Dutch world where it's so commonplace and we have the infrastructure that it's not really necessary. In 2018, I was in an accident. I don't actually remember it. I think I hit black ice and wiped out. I had a concussion and forgot the rest of that night. So if it wasn't for my helmet, I don't want to even think about it because my whole face was just kind of swollen and it was a very bad situation. So I am a big proponent of wear a helmet. There are so many out there that you can really get one to fit your personality. I have two actually now. So this is my burn helmet that I wear mostly in the winter. I have added stickers to it, but it's more covered, so it keeps my head a lot warmer. And then this is my other one that I got for the summer because I was getting too overheated with that helmet in the summer. So there's a lot more vents here. So I can let a lot more heat out of my head. And I wore this last night without anything on my head and it was very cold. So I'll probably be switching to my burn for the rest of the season. But having both of them is a nice option because then I can pick what works for me in the situation. This one also has NIPS lining, which is a special lining that helps with preventing concussions. It moves with your head so that it kind of helps keep your brain safe. I don't know the technical stuff about that, Sarah. I might be just blabbing. I don't know if you know the details of that one.
I don't. I know there are websites you can look on to see the actual rating of safety tests that have been done for various helmets on the market. So if anyone is looking for a new helmet, I would definitely recommend searching that because while we would hope that all helmets are at the level of safety or should provide that level of protection, it never hurts to do your research.
So also during the pandemic, you should still have a mask or covering while you're out riding if you cannot distance. In the summer, I had just a bandana I could pull up real quick over my face. My buff, I usually have on my face or on my chin. And if I see someone coming, I'll pull it up because sometimes, I mean, exercising outside during the pandemic, it can be very scary just because we don't really know everything that's going on. And so I'm more overcautious. So I try to keep my face covered as often as possible, but sometimes we do get overheated. If nobody's around, it's safe to pull it off. Just make sure that you are protecting yourself and others while we all fight this together. In the winter, you will lose a lot of heat through your head. So keeping your head covered is very critical, and that's one reason why I have the two helmets. So if you want to get a balaclava, a thermal cap, a buff, muffler is also what some of them are called, gaiter, or use scarves. You could use one around your neck and one over your head. You could wrap one over your helmet if it has more of like the holes in it. You could wrap a scarf over your helmet even. And then also, some people suggested foldable ear muffs in the past, the ones that just kind of fit around the back of your head. They said that those fit under their helmet pretty easily. So if you tend to have cold ears, or maybe something slips and your ear always pops out, that might be an option for you as well. And if you're wearing scarves, make sure that you know where the ends are. I recommend infinity scarves for this reason, because there are no parts that can get stuck in the moving parts of your vehicle, essentially. So if you do have just a straight scarf, make sure to like tie the ends up close to yourself so that they can't come unwrapped and get tangled in anything below you. And then outer layer and outer shell. This is a part where I definitely want to suggest that you do not need bike-specific gear in order to ride a bike. Like that's not required. I realized yesterday that most of the bike-specific gear that I have is simply because I was commuting 13 miles a day year-round. Now that I don't do that, I'm like, I'll just wear my regular jacket. And again, it's layering. Thrift it, trade it with a friend, layer your sweaters, your scarves, you know, get a windbreaker from the thrift store or whatever, and just wear a bunch of layers underneath. Whatever you need to do to stay comfortable. Don't feel like you have to have bike gear in order to ride a bike, because that's definitely, I think, a barrier for a lot of people, where we see people in bike gear and assume that's what you must look like. I would like to break that stereotype and say that no. However, I do have bike-specific jackets. But again, I've had them for 5 years now, 4 or 5 years now. And a lot of the stuff that I have purchased, but is specific to cycling, I've built it up over the years. So I've been like slowly accumulating all this stuff. Like, don't feel like you have to go out and buy the entire full kit tomorrow. Just as a note, you don't have to. In the summer, if you want to have, you can have a packable rain jacket. I've noticed a lot of outdoor companies are doing more of those, where it can pack up into like a little package. So you can have it with you just in case, to keep from getting drenched in the rain. You can alternatively just expect to get wet and embrace it. Just be careful with the temperature. And then wind shells also help when it is actually dry here in the fall or spring weather, because we still get pretty nasty wind, especially if you are riding along the rivers. There's a lot of wind by the rivers. And so having a nice wind shell can definitely help keep you comfortable while you're riding, either a full jacket or even just a vest. I've seen people in like those tougher vests over just like a sweater, and they're comfortable. So that's like ways that you can do it just to keep yourself comfortable. I have used my poncho as a jacket in the winter because it keeps, anything that's going to be waterproof is going to help you with wind as well. The downside of that is that you then make the inside pretty steamy. So I've used a poncho just for a quick ride where I didn't want to get soaked, but I also didn't want to wear my full rain jacket. So that has helped me quite a bit. I also have, this is my actual like rain jacket. This one is from Showers Past. I love this thing. This is essentially my winter jacket. So it's bright, it has reflective, it has holes for your armpits. And it's fairly comfortable for me. It is just kind of waterproof. And so I will get sweaty inside of it and need to unzip it pretty frequently when I'm out riding. But it has helped me against the cold very regularly. And then I have this one is Pearl Izumi jacket. This one has a zippers on either side of the sleeve, so it can then be a vest. So if you're someone that does get warm, something that does kind of have multi-uses might be an option for you. Specifically in cycling gear, they do that a lot where you can remove the sleeves and just have a vest. But I mean, really just the outdoor gear company, I feel like has been doing a lot of these. I'm a very sweaty human, so I really do need the ones that have like the zippers under the armpits. I need to be able to like unzip it, so having 2 zips for me is very critical because often I can let the air out around my waist more than I can let it out around my neck. So having 2 zips so I can air out in certain places definitely helps. And some of them do have hoods that can go over your helmet. Like I think both of them are built so that you can attach a helmet if you so desire. Oh, and if you do have waterproof stuff, make sure you are careful with the washing of it. Follow the instructions on your garment. There are, I think we had a conversation, powder detergent may have more of a braiding effect on it, so it may reduce the waterproofness versus liquid detergent. And pretty much all of my technical gear, I air dry. I don't dry it in a dryer. Put it on a rack and let it dry. But again, make sure you follow the instructions on your garment in order to keep it waterproof. And then also, I know there are companies that sell different products to actually add waterproofing back into an older garment. If you can, try and get more use out of it instead of getting a new jacket. I try to get as many uses out of it as possible. So these so far have lasted me about 5 years. So 5 winters in Pittsburgh is pretty good. Okay, on to hands and feet. In the warm months, gloves are entirely optional. I wear fingerless gloves because I need the extra padding on my palms. I have issues with actual like pressure on my wrists, so I have just fingerless gloves with the gel that is in it, so it's a little bit easier for me. That's entirely up to you. I know people that don't wear gloves in the summer. Entirely optional. I'm also, again, sweaty, so it helps with my grip on my handlebars. My hands definitely get a little moist in the summer. In the fall and spring, full finger gloves are probably needed. They do not need to be bike specific at all. I don't know where I put my other gloves. These are my main ones. They are bike specific. I like these just because they're small, like they're thinner, so they're easy to grab my gears. I've been wearing these since probably October. I've been wearing these full finger gloves. But there are also more advanced options. These ones have a fleece liner. So these are kind of like my next level up when my fingers are already getting cold. These are bike specific, so they have that little gel in the wrist that I need. And if it's really cold, I go for my lobster gloves. So these ones, it takes some getting used to use 2 fingers, but these have saved me more often than not. The benefit of having the fingers together is that your fingers keep each other warm. So having that mutual heat pocket kind of helps in a lot of cases as well. I don't know where they are, but I do have other gloves that I'll wear when it's, you know, mild but not super cold out, or I'm not going very far. I've experimented with a lot of different gloves. When it gets into like the colder weather, I have a couple suggestions in a minute I'll get to. But don't be afraid to layer your gloves either. It's just making sure that you can really just make sure you can access your brakes and your shifters without impairment. That's really all you need, just the dexterity for. So as long as you can access that, do whatever you need to do, really. Make sure you're wearing socks and shoes appropriate for the weather. My feet tend to get pretty cold, so I will layer socks sometimes. And I usually just wear snow boots throughout the winter, just to give my feet that extra protection and the extra grip on the ground as well. I've also used water shoes in the summer. I like water shoes because they're a little airier. I know some people that bike in just sandals all summer, canvas sneakers, whatever is comfortable. Obviously, when the weather is nicer out, you can have more fun with your shoe wear as well. Oh, and if you have wet shoes, you can put a shopping bag, like one of those plastic shopping bags, over your socks to protect you from wet shoes in case you have to actually, in case you need to change socks in the middle of a downpour or something, if you have it with you. I've used those a lot. And if you have an issue with traction on your pedals, definitely try toe cages. You can try straps or clifton shoes. And you can also check into pedals with thicker teeth if you have an issue with gripping there. Something that I feel like isn't really common knowledge is that like you can change anything on your bicycle. Like it's very easy to switch out parts that don't work. I will get into a little bit of that in a minute, but just as a side note, you can change things on your bike. I feel like a lot of people, or at least my impression is that people buy the bike as is and kind of stick with it and don't change it as much to fit them. So that is just something you can remember. If it's not working, you can change it. As far as winterizing your extremities, excuse me. Yeah, maintaining your dexterity is going to be the crucial thing. You can have solar gloves or some sort of glove liner as one option inside your normal gloves. One of my favorite things ever are my bar mitts, which is this right here. So this is over top of my handlebar. I'm hoping that you can still hear me okay with my headset. So I just put my hands inside of it. And this is why I've been wearing my thinner gloves. I put my hands inside of here and it's pretty thick. It just sits on my bike and I can access all of my shifters and my brake levers without issue. So the thinner gloves are easier to use inside of there. The downside is when you pull your hand out to signal, it can get very chilly. Toe warmers and like chemical hand warmers and toe warmers are also another option. I definitely use the toe warmers more often because you can just kind of stick those on and they're good for 8 hours or something like that. If you are prone to getting very cold extremities, I would suggest having them just with you at all times. I usually have a pack with me in the just in cases. If your hands are kind of always cold, look into motorcycle gloves because they make them with built-in heaters. And then if you also have just multiple gloves, if you're going to be out for a while or if you're running errands, I usually make sure I have the second set of gloves just in case my first set either gets wet from weather or from my sweat. That way I can make sure my hands are at least comfortable while I'm riding. Make sure that your feet stick on a wet surface, especially in the winter. Gripping snow boots is really my main issue, like my main winter wear, just to make sure that it's sticking on ice, snow, whatever may be on the ground. I know people use hiking boots. Oh, and I have these ridiculous things. These are what's called an overshoe, and it's like a garbage bag for your shoe with a sole. So it has a sole on the bottom and it opens. So you can shove your existing shoe inside of it and then close it up. I've worn these over sneakers just to do like shoveling snow. I also wore these over top of my boots, you know, in like -degree wind chill days. So these are kind of a great resource to have as well. My other main thing, as I wrote it on here, Cat 3-layer cold sheet. I usually wear a thin, in the really cold weather, I wear a thin merino wool, and then I wear neoprene toe covers. So these just fit over your toes like this. And then if I'm really cold, I'll put another sock over top of that just to kind of keep it secure. But once it's on your toes, you put your foot in the shoe, it keeps your toes covered and keeps them pretty toasty. These have helped my toes quite a bit. I love them very much. I've had this pair for probably too long. But those are a nice convenient way to just kind of keep your toes warm. I've actually been wearing them, like I wear them when I go out and about sometimes because my toes have been getting colder as I'm aging. So I've kept those with me. I wear them pretty frequently. I'll wear them usually over a thin sock and just regular shoes. I also have ski socks because they're made for being outside in cold weather. If you get really cold legs, those ones are easier to pull up over your calves because they're designed for people who are outside exercising and typically have larger calves. That's something that I have an issue with, just because cycling, my legs are amazing. How am I doing on time, Sarah?
You're pretty good. Yeah, I feel like if we leave 10 minutes for Q&A, we should be good. So maybe 5 minutes or so more of content.
Cool. I can talk fast and hopefully clear enough.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to talk about commuting next, that would be a good step.
Oh, my commuter safety.
Yeah.
I guess this section kind of still applies. So if you're commuting, transitioning between inside and outside is kind of the hardest part about commuting. I keep a backup. I have like at my desk at work when I was doing that, I had a backup of personal care items, either baby wipes or a washcloth, depending on your bathroom access and privacy. I have deodorant. You can also have other personal goods. I'll keep makeup in there for when I feel like adding makeup after I've been sweating. I don't like to put it on before sweating. I have an extra cardigan that I leave at work. I've left. I usually leave a change of shoes there. So if you're able to, this is also like depending on your work situation. If you're able to, leaving a little personal care box and another pair of shoes or a sweater may make the difference for you. Being able to come in and kind of freshen up and throw on a sweater whenever you get chilly, because I feel like most companies end up keeping their places too cold in the summer. I always ride with panniers on my bike. I can't really do a whole backpack. I get way too sweaty. So I have panniers, so that I don't have to carry it on my back. The one that I have switches into a backpack so that I can then carry it in as a backpack into my workplace. Some people have milk crates that they'll put stuff in, either in the back or in the front of their bike. You can put a basket on the front, and if you're comfortable with it, you can also wear a backpack. It's an option if you don't have a rack, and if you maybe don't get sweaty. Just keep in mind that because that will be there, it will make you a little bit sweatier. So that's also a concern. There's also rain pants or ski pants you can wear over top of casual clothes. One that was recommended to us previously was the JoyLab brand, which has zippers that go over the pants. A lot of them also have like an elastic waistband. That's an option, so you can just kind of throw that on and pull it off as you arrive at your workplace. And I would say if you're riding in the winter, especially, prepare an extra 15 minutes to get dressed and undressed, and try to get places early. I would say that's also pretty appropriate for extreme weather in the summer, just to make sure that your temperature can come down before you actually have to be with your coworkers. Commuting tips. So legally, motorists have to give you 4 feet of space for passing. In order to force them to do this, I often take the lane. Especially in crappier weather, I'm more likely to take more of the leftmost side of the lane, just to force people to actually think about going around me before they zip past you real quick. The further left you go in a lane, the more they're going to hesitate behind you. And especially with when it's been like really stormy in the summer and there's been lots of debris being washed around. There's also tends to be a lot of stuff in the bike lanes or in the rightmost channel, which you're supposed to ride in, is the rightmost channel. You know, make the safest judgment for yourself. Whether it is, I mean, you may want to stick more right because conflict, like, sometimes it's easier than like conflict with motorists. So like do what is safest for you. I do suggest taking the entire lane. I've also started alternating my routes. I often don't take the bike lanes as much anymore, and I will take some of the quieter like neighborhood streets, especially this summer. A lot of them turned into the neighborhood slow streets. So that was kind of already part of it. That became like a lot easier to use those because it was expected that the traffic was slower, and it just is a little less stressful, especially if you're not comfortable around motorists. Some of them are very mean. Your winter routes and your summer routes, they may change seasonally. When I was commuting to the north side, in the summers, I would usually take the trails depending on games. I had to think about baseball games in order for my commute because I did have to go past the stadium. So that's a thing you may have to think about. I would time my rides home in the evening to avoid the start of the game. Like I would time it afterwards because there would be less people out. So that may be something you have to consider. In the winter, the trails don't really get maintained very well, if at all. So I often started going through neighborhoods. So your summer and winter commutes may look different depending on whether what activity is going on around in the city as well. And I do suggest commuting if you happen to have friends or neighbors that live or work close by you. Meeting up and commuting together can be a lot of fun. I got into cycling because I happened to work with my best friend who has been cycling in the city for years. And I was like, all right, well, I need to get to work, so let's hang. And so it became kind of a habit for us we had a nice little like chill time on the trail together to chat and just ride together. And having somebody to consistently keep me going helped make it more of a routine for me. We happen to live in neighborhoods close by and happen to work together. So it just kind of worked out great for us then. And then use your day off, any days off to practice commutes. I've done this many times. I will, when I started my newer job on a Sunday, I think it was, I rode my planned route for the next day just to kind of scope it out. That way it's a low pressure. You can make sure you know the way to get there. If you need to change your routine because the maps don't always help, especially Google Maps doesn't always know what streets are good for cycling sometimes. So I would say just like an investigation sometimes is necessary to make sure that you're safe and comfortable, and especially doing it when you don't have the pressure of being somewhere on time. I've done this also for new doctor's offices, so I knew what to expect and that sort of thing. So it can be helpful to do that on days that you don't have that obligation. And then also let someone know when you're riding as a safety measure. When I had my concussion, somehow, luckily it happened like right near my house. I made it home and my roommate helped take care of me. But since then, I've been very cautious about it. My partner, now that I live with my partner, he knows where I'm, like, he knows my normal routes. I usually text him when I'm leaving work, just so that he knows that I'm on my way. For me, that's just kind of an extra layer that if I got a flat or if I got hit or if I was, somehow otherwise injured or incapacitated, he would at least know where to find me. That's also just how we manage our anxiety together. We both have anxiety issues. So that's just like a way that works for us to just be in communication. I go out and ride in the neighborhoods and just try to get some exercise lately, and I'll tell him when I'm out riding and when I'm heading back, just so that he knows where I'm at, just in case. So, it's okay. Also, just a couple more things there, and then I'll give it back. It's okay not to ride every day. Like, you don't feel obligated to ride every single day. Know where the bus routes are. You can put your bike on any PAT bus, so that's pretty great, especially if it's a hill that you can't tackle. Take the bus up the hill. Not a big issue. Coworkers help a lot. Just to have people that you can depend on, either for keeping you riding or also the backup when some days we just lose all of our energy and you don't want to ride home. Having someone that can offer to take you home is also a nice option as well. Make it a routine, and then also make it fun. Don't forget to have fun on your bicycle. I have ridiculous lights on my bike just for fun. Like, I blue lights on my wheel just because it's fun, because why not? I also have a little Bluetooth speaker in one of my feed bags, so I'm usually like some music. That's my main stuff. Sarah, was there anything else you wanted me to hit?
I think that was very thorough, Kat. Everything that I imagined, you touched on. So
I still have more notes.
I know you and Carrie are my most excellent note and preparation instructors, and I thoroughly appreciate it because I'm all type A.
I will gladly share this with anybody, so you can read through it. I skipped over quite a few things, but I do have quite a few notes, which I think will either be as outline or possibly a blog post.
Yes.
Sarah?
Yeah, exactly.
Take it away.
Blog post coming.
Thank you all. I really do appreciate you all coming out today.
Yeah, I did get a couple questions that folks chatted me while you were talking. The first one is, are there any local bike shops that you would recommend when looking for that sort of winter gear?
I mean, any bike shop will help you find anything you need. I frequent Kindred. I just love them. I've been going there since pretty much when they opened, and it's because it's co-owned by a woman. Catherine has since become one of my friends, so that's like kind of fun. And I mean, if you call a shop and ask them about it, most shops can order anything into their store. So if you want to just support a local shop, I would say get in touch with them, see if they have it already, and if they don't, if they could order it for you. And I do a lot of research online, so I kind of know what I'm looking for and then can ask them about it. I'm fixing up a bike and I'm planning on, there's a few things that I want to get for it. And I have like a website, but I'm going to send that to them to be like, can you just order this for me? Because I want to give them my money, especially during this time. So I would say just kind of call around.
Awesome. We just got another question in, which is, what were the brand of boot coverings that you used to cover your sneakers?
Neos overshoes.
Nice.
I don't know if it's showing up backwards for you guys. Neos.
You're good. Yeah, Neos. Rad.
It kind of sounds like you're wearing garbage bags, but that's what one of my coworkers said, because it does make like a ruffling noise, but it's worth it for foot protection. Those are also good, like if you're shopping. I like them for grocery shopping too, because I can leave those at my bike, like in a pocket somewhere or whatever, and take them off and actually go into the store like in sneakers or something if the weather's really crappy out. So it's like a nice alternative.
Brad, we got another question, well, a couple more. One is, what do you use for bike lock when commuting? Something light or a big heavy lock?
I just love my Kryptonite. It's currently still in its frame. I really just mainly I use my Kryptonite lock. Which one is this? Series 2 Kryptonite Crypto Lock, probably. I have it covered in Kryptonite reflective stickers now, so I can't exactly read it. This is my main one. I lock up my front wheel and my frame to whatever I'm walking to. Side note, don't walk to trees. It's not good for you and it's not good for the trees. But somebody could chop it down quickly and steal your bike. So that's my tip there. Something that's bolted down. I also have a little zip tie one. This is a little short one that I use. It just has a little 3-number code lock, and it's basically a zip tie. So I just slide that in and just change the numbers, and it's locked. This I use to lock up my back wheel to my frame, because I like to have it. I'm kind of paranoid about stuff getting stolen. It's never happened to me. This is how I manage my anxiety. I'd rather overlock than underlock. Again, do what's comfortable for you. My Kryptonite locks came with another long cord, like security cord, that you can wrap around stuff or wrap it through your bike. For me, that was just kind of cumbersome, and that's why I ended up getting this little thing for my back wheel. I have a Brooks saddle on my bike, so I also have a small chain locking that to my frame, because those ones are very pricey. And I don't want to ever lose it. I love them so much. Highly recommend the Brooks saddle. Any other questions?
Awesome.
And what was that called? Brooks what?
The Brooks saddle.
Babble?
Saddle, my feet.
Oh, saddle. Thank you.
No problem. I do have one that's like a normal nose length. I'd suggest going towards a shorter one. It just kind of sticks out, and there's like an inch of it that my body doesn't really touch. So that might work better for some people. I think it works better typically for women type bodies. I don't know how many people use them, but I'm definitely going to get a shorter nose on mine next time I get one.
All right. I think that's it for questions, unless anyone has anything else. If you do, please feel.
I'm in no rush.
Yeah, it's a Saturday. I don't have to
do nothing. This is all I had planned today. Drinking my coffee.
I guess a few things I just wanted to say before we wrap up. If you haven't joined our Women on Binary Facebook group, or subscribe to our newsletter, I would highly recommend doing so just to stay in the loop about upcoming events. That's where we post all our good stuff. Kat's got the t-shirt. I would say we also have a couple events coming up. If you want to talk about the Frigid Bitch, Kat, I know you're big time volunteer with that.
How did I forget about the Frigid Bitch? So February 13th is the Frigid Bitch Alley Cat. This year it's a little different, but this is a women, trans, non-binary, and like other unrepresented groups only ride. And it is taking place, registration is $5. It's bikereg.com/frigidbitch8 is the link for it. I can also share it with people. I have the Facebook link as well. It's a good energy. Unfortunately this year, because of COVID, we won't be socializing as much. There's usually a big party after, and it's a lot of fun. But it is a really fun thing, and there's just a couple checkpoints. You just have to make one. There's always so many prizes. And it's definitely being done a little bit different this year, but usually you just get to one checkpoint and you get a prize. I would say most of the stuff I think is being updated on the Facebook page. So we can also include that. Sarah, if you haven't, will you paste it in the chat? All of the registration funds are donated to the Greater Pittsburgh Women's Shelter and Center. And I think the last couple of years we've donated at least $1,000. This is the 8th year it's going. It's whatever weather we get. The first year I did it was 2017, and it was like 7 degrees before wind chill. And then the next year it was like 47 or 45 or something.
And I missed it that year. I was so regretful. I got a very cold year.
So that's one of my main things. In the summer, there's also the Pittsburgh Underwear Bike Ride, which is a body positive ride put together by local cyclists. That's usually the last Thursday, May through October. And because of COVID, there have been some changes, in including masks while people are on the ride. But people wear, a tank top and boxers to, under like a thong and pasties. So it's the gamut of whatever underwear is for you, whatever you're comfortable wearing. I've ridden around in just like a sports bra and short shorts. It's fun, and it's usually a very slow ride. So that's a good one. I think that's mostly it. I did want to shout out Free Ride because they're a great resource. They're a bicycle collective dedicated to reusing, recycling bicycles, mechanical bicycle education, and promoting bicycle access. Again, due to COVID, some restrictions, but they do have a lot of bikes as is. If you want a project bike, I actually have one off camera that I'm working on that I got from them that I'm really excited about. Some of their bikes are ready to go. Volunteers, if you ever want to volunteer and actually build up some mechanical knowledge, I've started volunteering and I've been learning a little bit of more mechanical knowledge from being there and how things fit together on the actual bicycle. So that's a great resource as well. And they're over in Larimer area.
Awesome. Yeah, I think you covered it all. Well, that's everything I had. Thank you so much, Kat, for presenting on this lovely workshop. I hope you all feel comfortable and ready to ride, whether it's today in these freezing temperatures or come spring when it's a bit warmer. That's probably what I'll be doing. But thank you all for joining us today. Hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend, and hope we see you soon virtually and fingers crossed in person. All right.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks all.
Bye, everyone.